We are about to start the meeting. It is 4 o'clock. The first thing I would ask is that everybody puts their phones on mute, the mayor included. I would like to make the land acknowledgement. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Nation. Approval of the agenda. I have a motion moved by Dan Meeks, seconded by Susan Irwin, that the agenda for the council meeting held March 14th, 2023 be approved as, are there amendments, Kathy?
No, there are not, Madam Mayor.
So be approved as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Bill is going to be late. He's having truck car issues. Hopefully he's not outside waiting for the tow truck. All right. Is there any disclosure pecuniary interest in general nature thereof of any item on tonight's agenda by any member of council? Seeing none, we'll note that in the minutes. We have a motion moved by Dan Meeks, seconded by Susan Irwin, that the minutes of the special council meeting held February 22nd, 2023, and the regular council meeting held February the 28th be approved as presented. Any questions or comments on those minutes? All those in favor? Carried. Mayor's remarks, I'm going to skip over those. We've got a busy agenda tonight, so I can't think of anything burning. Oh, I do want to say that a former public works manager of ours has just passed away, Bill Nickel. I don't know if many of you would know him, but he lived at Silver Lake and was with us for a number of years. So condolences to the family. Deferred items, we don't have any. So we're going to start with our staff reports. And first is Development Services. Andy, you're up. I have a motion moved by, is that Susan again?
Yes, I think.
Okay, moved by Susan and seconded by Dan, that council received the construction details report February 2023 for information. Any questions or comments on the report for Andy? Things are moving right along and the numbers don't seem to be going down a lot.
No, we're off to a good start. I've got about 25 applications in total now. So
Good. So it won't be quite as crazy as it was the years before, we think.
we'll have to wait and see.
Time will tell.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Next is staff report and a bylaw to regulate the use of land and buildings. Moved by Susan Irwin, seconded by Dan Meeks. Whereas resolution number 74, 2023 was approved at the February 14th, 2023 meeting, which authorized township staff to engage the county planners to bring back housekeeping amendments to the zoning bylaw 2011-52 as amended by 2022-61 and 2023-07. And whereas the county planners have a limited scope of issues they can address due to not having the planning rationale that was used to implement the updates to the current zoning bylaw. And whereas Frontenac consultant prepared the current zoning bylaw and can look at a broader scope of issues and is willing to work with staff to complete the necessary housekeeping amendments. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council rescind Resolution 74, 2023, dated February the 14th, 2023, and authorize staff to work with Frontenac Consulting Limited and bring forth the housekeeping amendments to council for consideration at a later date. And further, that as part of this process, staff be authorized to engage legal counsel to review the draft zoning bylaw amendment passed in bylaw 2023-61, as well as the draft housekeeping bylaw. It's a mouthful. Comments, questions? Philip?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Did we budget for any of this work, the Township consulting or the legal fees?
Not specifically, but I mean, there is contingencies in the, I think that's what Michael mentioned. It isn't, I mean, he's gone now to ask him in the budget. So he said there is money in there that we could pull from that.
Do we have any idea what the estimated amounts are?
No, I don't at this point. I don't know what the legal will be. Glenn, he has, I mentioned it to him to give me a price. But I don't think it's going to be costly at all compared to, you know, when he first did the whole zoning bylaw. But it's a fact that the planners can't even get to it right away. And they weren't willing, I think they were talking about certain things about the waterfront. They weren't prepared at this point to even look at. And I think that's what Andy was mentioning as well to them. Was that what they mentioned to you, Andy? Cindy,
Yes, through Madam Mayor to Councillor Smith. Yeah, they were limited on what they were, how much work that they would take on to do this, where Glenn has offered to look at more areas than they were willing to. In the end, the goal is to help save on planning fees. I just find that some of the restrictions that were brought in are a little too restrictive, and it's gonna create more minor variances and permission requests. You know, for things that when they go to the committee would probably get approved anyways. So that's what I'm looking at. But
Philip?
So if Mr. Tunick was the original person who drafted our bylaws, you know, so the changes we want, is he going to be happy with those changes? And I guess I don't understand the county's comment about not the planning rationale. So I mean, if they don't understand Glenn Tunick's planning rationale, well, that really doesn't matter at this point, because we're asking them to change it to what we want them to have in the bylaw. And this goes back to a previous question I had about, you know, if the county doesn't have time for the work we need them to do, should we be reviewing that contract and seeing if it's still appropriate for us?
And certainly that can, that's certainly a further discussion for council as well. And we will be discussing, there's a number of things we're going to be discussing in regards to planning and certainly with part 8 and coming down the two very shortly. In regards to being able that Glenn, yeah, they were asking for rationale, and then I spoke to Glenn about it. He really didn't have specific what they were thinking of rationale. I mean, he was at all the open houses. It came out of the open houses and with council's, direction from there. But they were looking for more specific as to maybe, well, why did you have this or why did you have that? Well, so Glenn is going to sit down with staff. And he's going to sit down with Andy and go through a lot of that. And we'll end with the planners. They know that once we sit down with them, that they will look at it in regards to what is on the ground, how can we to do this at this point. So more is to come with.
And it's really too bad that we hadn't picked up some of this stuff, but as council, we're not builders. I don't know what so many square metered of a garage means on the ground. So fortunately, we had those discussions, and our actual builders were too busy at the time to get involved and then sent us comments. So had we had a larger staff to help Andy, they could have gone over those. It probably caught them before we passed it, but we didn't. Go ahead.
If I can. So I get all of those comments, but it doesn't really answer the question, why does the county need Glenn or our planning rationale for things that we want to change? Like, the planning rationale should be on what we're changing to, not what was there and we're not happy with.
Yeah, I can give you an opinion is that one professional planner does not want to take over the work of another professional planner.
Hence the review of the
Yeah.
services we're getting.
And that we can certainly do. Okay, anything else, Nikki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Andy, you have time to take this on top of going into the heavy building season.
Through Madam Mayor to Councillor Gowdy. I don't plan on spending a lot of time on this. That's what the consultant's for. But I am willing to work with him to get the issues addressed. Because in the end, it's gonna save time. So I think it's something that really needs to be looked at.
And it's not a total review. There's a few areas that need to be looked at more closely. One's the tiny houses and different sizes of coverage of lots and that sort of thing. Dan?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Andy, will they take your word, I guess, in consideration when they make this decision on what they're going to do? I guess you have a whole opinion about the whole thing, I guess, and
Through Madam Mayor to Councillor Meeks, I can give my opinions and but in the end, it's council that has the vote on it, and I don't have a vote, so that's all I can do is raise the issues and bring them to your attention, and
You raise the issues, we'll settle the argument. How's that?
sounds good. Yeah.
Okay,
thanks, Andy.
all right. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
All right. Administration update regarding sale of Mountain Grove and Hinchinbrook properties. Moved by Philip Smith, seconded by Nikki Gowdy. Whereas previous council directed staff to surplus both its properties located at 1022 Long Lake Road, Parham, and 1455 Mountain Grove, and to sell through the RFQ process per our sale of surplus land policy. And whereas both RFQs were to give consideration to the proposed development plan to ensure the proposed development fits with the community. And whereas staff are recommending that we continue to sell these properties by way of the RFQ process with no reserve bid, using a scoring matrix that will evaluate proposals to prioritize a development that fits in with the local neighborhood and/or incorporates affordable housing in the business plan. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that council receives the report entitled Update Regarding Sale of Mountain Grove and Hinchinbrook Properties, prepared by the deputy clerk for information. And further, that council accept the recommendation of staff and direct them to proceed to sell these properties through the RFQ process as discussed. Discussion on the motion. Nikki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question, I guess, is about the matrix and it coming back to council. Ultimately, it's going to be council's decision who we sell the property to. So will we see all of the bids as council and get to make that decision whether they fail the matrix on affordable housing or not? Like I guess my question is, if a really good offer comes in and they have a plan, but it doesn't fit into affordable housing or community use, but we're going to benefit financially from it, I don't think we should discard that completely. I think council should see that and make decision that way as well.
I think maybe what we could ask staff to do is once they put the matrix together of how they're going to assess these properties, we take a look at that ahead of time and ensure that anything that we think needs to be added gets added. And then once it comes to council, the matrix and the bid would come. Would it have to be confidential? It is a quotation, right?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, I agree with Councillor Gowdy in terms of having the matrix, having all proposals brought to council for final review. And I think that typically we would do that in closed session to review and assess. And I would definitely appreciate the matrix being reviewed by council before we hit the trigger on that for sure.
Okay. Right. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Craig. I didn't see your little hand there.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Why would we use a matrix system? Why wouldn't we just put them out and review every tender that comes in with their plan that?
With the matrix system, I think you are able to be, you're able to say to each of the people, here's how it was scored, so you didn't miss something or you didn't give more weight to one than the other. I think it's a fair type system that you can stand behind when you make your decision. So if your bid was a good bid, but you didn't get any ticks on the matrix, we can tell you why we didn't accept your offer.
It could also work in reverse though. You
Yes.
could have somebody that really did good on the matrix and scored the best in the matrix, but isn't the best idea for what we want for our community. And then they have a piece of paper that's saying, you should have sold me that property because I did best score on your matrix plan that you put in place. So it can work both ways. We got to keep that in mind. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You
But
could have a
that's-
real good idea that would fit for Parham or Mountain Grove that us as council think would be the best fit. But Craig Middleton didn't fill out the matrix properly.
Yeah, well, we'll. fill out the
And somebody from out of
matrix.
town, you know what I'm saying?
Cindy, matrices have been used in other circumstances?
Yeah, and just the Crow Lake Schoolhouse was one example where we kind of set some parameters in terms of what we were looking for. And it can be a simple matrix, it could be more complex. We can certainly flesh that out. But I think it kind of follows the same idea as the procurement policy when we're doing requests for proposals and tenders and stuff. Is just making it very clear. We have to give everybody the same opportunity to provide on the same basis. So it's just a way to score those evenly across the board. So there's, no optics of preference or bonusing or anything like that.
Hey, any other questions? Philip?
Just an expected time frame.
Expected time frame.
Well,
Famous last question.
yeah. I am hopeful. The matrix, I think I can bring back probably either the end of March, first meeting of April.
So, and it should be fairly quick after that. That's a big part of it, is getting that matrix done. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Next, we have procedural bylaw option number 2. Moved by Nikki and seconded by Philip, that council receive the revised draft procedural bylaw for information, and that the draft be brought back for final review and discussion on March 28th, 2023.
Well, we can change the date.
What do you suggest?
Okay, what the Councillor Irwin made a suggestion, because it is a fairly complex and the document, that maybe we could have a special meeting to go through the procedural bylaw, the section by section. So that's an option for council to do that. And we could also do the recommendations for the fire master plan, those 23 recommendations. Maybe we could do both at the same special meeting. And then that way we could do as much as or get as far as we could with it, if council's wish is that.
So Nikki and Philip, if you agree with that, I could change this motion to be brought back for final review and discussion at a special meeting.
And whatever dates council has available for a special meeting.
That's
Yes.
fine to change the motion, but I was just gonna ask about dates as far as you said the county and the CEOs had been discussing the land acknowledgements and making sure that that was appropriate.
Yes, because
There's going to be a report coming to council for that.
for sure, because that's in 3 weeks. We're having another meeting with the other Frontenac County clerks. So the
Just want-
procedural bylaw might be a little later than
So,
that.
and I think the clerk's meeting on the 21st of March, I think, was to address specifically the land acknowledgement.
Right. And we were talking about, that's why when I sent the email to Councillor Smith this morning with that land acknowledgement, and it's the truth and reconciliation, they're trying to do a report to bring it forth to all councils so they understand and give them more context in regards
Just
to
as long as
that.
we're not passing the final.
No.
Procedural bylaw.
No,
before we
this is
get
just to
that.
basically go it by section, and then we can do the deal with the other report, but the land acknowledgement.
So for now, can I say, and discussion at a special meeting to be determined?
Okay,
Because we don't have a date right today.
no.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Carried. All right. Letter of support, County of Frontenac Red Grant submission. Moved by Philip Smith, seconded by Nikki Gowdy. Whereas the County of Frontenac has applied for a rural Economic Development RED grant application to develop a project which will match succession and sales opportunities in the county with entrepreneur newcomers to Canada by working with the Toronto Business Development Center and the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program Entrepreneur Success Initiative, and requested a letter of support for this application. And whereas supporting new business attractions succession efforts was identified as a concern in our downtown Charlotte Lake Revitalization Strategic Action Plan. And whereas the Economic Development Committee at its meeting held March 6, 2023, passed a motion endorsing the letter of support. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that council receive the letter of support for information and confirm its support of the county's RED application. Discussion. All those in favor? Carried. Are at committee reports. Moved by Nikki, seconded by Philip, that council received the minutes from the District 4 Recreation Committee held January the 18th, 2023 for information. Any comments on the District 3? 4? District 4. Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Like it better when our districts have names instead of numbers, but moved by Philip and seconded by Nikki that council received the minutes from the District 2 Recreation Committee held March 5th, 2023 for information. You see there's a spaghetti dinner coming up.
Yes, we're having euchre this Monday night, March the 20th. There'll be euchre every Monday night from now on. And spaghetti dinner is April the 15th. 2 as well, 5 to 7. And we're hoping to get a volleyball tournament in there if we can get the school booked.
Yeah.
Only thing, I don't want to take false information back to the committee, but was under my impression there was a 22,000 for rink boards. And when I talked to Michael, he said it wasn't there. But if you go back to the February 5th, February 6th special meeting, between 46 and 49 minutes, it was approved through him. So I'm not sure about that, but
We'll have to have Michael
You
look at
didn't
that.
earmark it specifically, that's all. For ring boards. I think that's what he was talking about.
He hadn't actually earmarked it for Olden or Mountain Grove rink boards. I think that's what he was mentioning. So it's in, there's money in there.
okay.
It's not specific to say that. So I think that's up to council's direction because there is money there.
I
In
see.
that, from what I understand,
For
it's
rink
just that,
boards.
yes, but it just was not earmarked. So if council wishes to have that earmarked for that, then
So it would come out of reserves, but it wasn't in the budget this year.
I think there was something in the budget. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was in the
it was there.
budget. It's
Okay.
just that he had, and that's when, you know, Councillor Meeks asked the question, he had not put a note to, so it's just in general, in the general
So it's there.
monies.
I see. Just that also RAC has new boards, so does Arden, and
You would like some too.
District 4 is up in the air. We did look at the boards in Mountain Grove School, and we're gonna take a look at that and see if we can use them too as well. So
All right,
thank you.
Nikki.
But the line is in the reserve for rink boards for
Mhm.
$22,000.
Mhm.
So if Olden needs some repairs, they could bring forth to use that, some of that 22,000 for their repairs.
Yeah.
Because it's not earmarked for anybody. So
Yeah.
if it says rink boards, they're fixing rink boards, they should be able to use that out of the reserve for rink boards.
That's the way I understand it as well. So I mean, it just has to be, you know, it's just that he had not earmarked a specific, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
all those in favor? Carried. Next, we have moved by Craig Middleton and seconded by Susan Middleton that council received the minutes from the Heritage. Sorry, who did I say?
Susan Middleton?
Oh, God love her, eh? That's Craig's mom. I've done that twice. She must be thinking of me. Okay, moved by Craig and seconded by Susan that council received the minutes from the Heritage Festival Committee meeting held March 1st, 2023 for information. Any questions or comments on the Heritage Festival Committee? Lynn?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just a note that I would like to, it talks in the here about them not meeting again until mid-October. And I know for a fact that some of the planning stuff for in Arden, especially with the pottery, they need a good 6 months warning to be able to prep and get ready for the Heritage Festival. So I just thought I'd make that note that it would be nice if maybe they met a little before that so that it allowed some more participation from people that need to prepare.
I suggest that we meet every month for the whole year and the rest of the membership want it to start in October.
Cindy?
So while I was on the committee, it's always been that we meet in October. And usually the events in each area, they're already a set ahead sort of thing. So you talk to them on your own time. Joanne, are you going to do the empty bowls, for example? And they let you know for upcoming in October. But they don't really do meetings. They never have before, but that's totally up to the new chair and their group.
Okay. All right. Here,
I'd also like to, in this Heritage Committee, have more involvement from Kennebec, Hinchinbrook and Olden. Like if you guys have people that want to join, like come to the meeting, it seems to me like everybody just kind of does their own little thing and we're all, you know what I mean?
and it would not be counselors, right?
No, we wouldn't have to be counselors, like if anybody, like just more involvement at
Somebody
that
from
level
your area,
of our thing with four people, 5 people. You know what I mean? And
and they're all Charlotte Lake centered.
then we just kind of get emails or not emails, we find out from people the events they're doing and we just put it on the posters, like there's no.
So if I find some people that say that they have some interest, forward them on to you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, will do.
Okay, Cindy.
We used to too, just so you know, Craig, we would move the meetings around to different areas. That way you do get people from other areas more interested in it than it just being central to Charlotte Lake. You might get more response that way.
Good. Philip.
We're just going to comment as Bill and I get the Central Frontenac Rec Committee up and going. It might be an opportunity for the Heritage Festival to come and solicit because we'll have district reps at those meetings as well. So.
Right. True. Okay. All right. All those in favor of the motion? Carried. All right. Next is Economic Development Committee. Moved by Craig and seconded by Susan that council received the minutes of the Economic Development Committee meeting held July 22nd, 2022. This one goes way back. All those in favor? Carried. Most of which aren't here that were at that meeting, right? All right. Moved by Craig and seconded by Susan that council received the minutes of the Central Frontenac Washroom Facilities Committee meeting held March 2nd, 2023 for information. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Craig, seconded by Susan, that council received the minutes from the Eastern Ontario Trail Alliance Board meeting held February the 9th, 2023 for information. Discussion? Craig?
Yeah, I just want to point out, I've been to a couple meetings. I think it's a well-run board that they have there. This year we are gonna for sure be getting the bridge replaced in Arden and the bridge on Brewers Road, but between the two Brewers Roads are on the books, plus some grading and other maintenance stuff. And also I asked Cindy at her first meeting, I guess, was if we ever want her to come and do a presentation to council, she's more than happy to come do a presentation of what they're about and what trail mark they do and everything like that. So if that's something we want to do in the future, we just have to ask her and she'd be more than happy. So
I think with so many new people, that would probably be a good idea. Maybe during the summer or just after the summer, early fall. All right. All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Next, we have moved by Craig, seconded by Susan, that council received the minutes from the Quinte Conservation Authority Board meetings held November the 24th, 2022, and December the 15th, 2022 for information. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Craig and seconded by Susan that council received board summary report dated February the 22nd, 2023, including the minutes of the Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority Board meeting held December the 7th, 2023 for information. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Lynn and seconded by Susan that council received the minutes of the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority Board meeting held November the 24th, 2022 for information. Discussion. All those in favor. Oh, Susan, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that I attended the in-person training event for Rideau Valley. It's only 2 hours to get there. It was well worth the trip. And it looked at the historical development of conservation authorities, why we needed them, and the impact of Bill 23, and that many of the or the rationale for conservation authorities is being attacked by Bill 23, and that there's likely more to come. I understand that there's a new provincial policy statement that will be coming down, and the conservation authorities were quite worried about that. But as following up on Craig, Madam Mayor, talking about a presentation, Sumner, the executive director of Rideau Valley Conservation Authority, has offered to come and give a presentation. And if anybody wanted a training presentation on conservation authorities, I would certainly recommend that one.
Good. Okay. We did have a mini one at the county on conservation authorities, but certainly throughout the year, maybe we should get them all at the table. All right. All those in favor of the motion? Oh, no, you're voting. Okay. All those in favor. Sorry. Carried. Yeah, true. Kathy just mentioned they would do a joint presentation for the three of them.
Before.
Yeah. All right. We are at our delegations. Thank you for your patience. We have with us tonight Explorer Solutions, and we have Jason and Chow, and they're going to be talking about the strategic plan 2023-2026 of Frontenac County. I did explain that we have 5 brand new councillors who don't know their own strategic plan here, let alone the one with the county. So Jason has assured me that if you don't have comments or things to add tonight, that you can send an email down the road. So we'll let you go ahead and enlighten us.
Thank you kindly, Madam Mayor. Again, my name is Jason Kipfer, Director of Economic Development with Explorer Solutions, and I'm joined by my colleague Shao, our Market Research Analyst. We're very pleased to have this opportunity to sit down with all of you this evening to gather some input and some ideas and some feedback in support of the development of the Frontenac County Strategic Plan. I have a series of slides that are going to help guide the conversation this afternoon. It's not going to solely be me talking. I will provide a briefing. I will provide a little review of the strategic plan that was in place for the county, as well as that of Central Frontenac. And I have half a dozen questions to help guide some conversation from the group this evening. Our intentions are to gather input. We're less concerned about who said what versus the content of the conversation tonight. We'll be aggregating our information, looking for those trends and opportunities that will say float to the surface to help inform and guide the recommendations for the county strategic plan moving forward. So I'll move forward with the presentation here. Well, just wanted to highlight the agenda of the discussion. We're going to provide just a one-page overview of the project goals and the objectives. Then we'll move into understanding how is a county strategic plan utilized. I'll highlight the number of planned engagement activities that we're doing in support of this particular project. And we're calling this kind of setting the stage or a review to help with the questions in terms of just getting new council members and those that have been on council for some time, just a friendly reminder or refresher of your own county or your own township strategic plan, vision, mission, as well as that of the counties. And we will also look at, again, the strategic priorities coming from the county strategic plan from 2019 to 2022. It is simply a snapshot to support the conversation that will follow. We'll move into about a half a dozen questions, and I'll summarize our next steps as we move towards the finished product later this spring. So the project goals and objectives. A county strategic plan defines strategic objectives with achievable outcomes that are distinct from the standard operating initiatives the county undertakes year after year. Strategic planning is a process by which an organization or a county assesses how it's doing, figures out where it wants to go, and charts a path to get there. Strategic plans also help define important goals, set specific directions, and clarify policy and budget priorities. Since activities like budgeting and capital planning are undertaken during the regular course of work, there's no distinct outcome or completion point to these activities. While a vital part of municipal government, these activities are not in themselves strategic objectives, as these plans will continue to be discussed and developed on a continual basis. So how is the county strategic plan to be utilized? The plan will enable the county administration and council, member municipalities, the local business community, and community stakeholders to work together to champion a sustainable growth agenda for the county. For members of the public, the strategic plan communicates a 4-year vision of the county and the related priorities for this term of council. Additionally, it reflects the county's aspirations and input for the services they receive, and it formalizes county council's commitment to customer service and satisfaction for all residents of the county. For businesses and community organizations, the strategic plan reflects the county's commitment to partnering with businesses and community organizations to achieve the county's 4-year goals. And for county council, managers, and employees, the strategic plan informs policy, operational, and budget decisions, and it provides a structure to ensure oversight and management of county programs and services. So as I mentioned, this is one of a number of planned engagement activities to support this exercise. And our objective of being on site and having chats with you and other township councils and county council is to strengthen our understanding of the local context, particularly given the post-pandemic and current economic and worldly events. It helps us gain insights into current and emerging strategic priority areas throughout Frontenac County. And it supports the development of strategic recommendations for inclusion within the county strategic plan. This is one of 5 planned focus group discussions with councils throughout Frontenac County. We have a number of planned one-on-one meetings that we are looking to undertake and complete. We're in the process of finalizing 2 open houses and also going live this week with a general public online survey and a youth consultation online survey to ensure we have an inclusive voice emanating from throughout the county. So here's kind of the review, the setting the stage to get all of you back up to speed, and for some of you, some information to help guide the conversation. There's I won't say a fair bit of information, but I'll go through it fairly quickly, and we'll move into the questions afterwards. So on the left-hand side, you'll notice that the Township of Central Frontenac's last strategic plan was 2017 to 2020. Its mission is through efficient and effective leadership, Central Frontenac will continue to foster the development of a community in a customer-friendly, cost-efficient, creative, and environmentally sensitive manner that provides opportunity for all to enjoy life, earn a living, and pursue leisure activities, setting exemplary service and infrastructure standards that the community can be proud of. The vision for Central Frontenac, it was to be a vibrant, progressive community which will continue to provide a clean, friendly, natural environment that promotes healthy, active lifestyle, balanced with economic development opportunities to ensure financial viability. The county, its 2019-2022 mission is the effective, efficient, and sustainable delivery of services to its citizens, and its vision is to be committed to sustaining a diverse strong, and resilient rural communities known for their unique natural environment and lifestyle choices. As we look into the next piece of the review process, wanting to touch upon just the key strategic priorities coming from Central Frontenac's 2017-2020 strategic plan. The first one is asset management, around the focus on making the best possible decisions regarding the building, operating, maintaining, renewing, replacing, and disposing of infrastructure assets. Secondly is environmental services, by managing of environmental services and initiatives that support future needs and interests of the community. Thirdly is good governance and effective administration, where the township is to provide effective and efficient municipal governance and administration. Next is health, recreation, culture, and lifestyle, with a focus to promote healthy lifestyles and to meet the broad range of community needs. Following is infrastructure, with a focus to effectively respond to the challenges of addressing the township's municipal infrastructure needs. And lastly, protection and health of natural environment, to investigate means of protecting the natural features in this municipality. The county has 3 strategic priorities. The first one is to get behind plans that build community vitality and resilience in times of growth and change. To do this, the county is looking to provide committed leadership and continuing support to the long-term regional plan to enhance broadband and cell service. Secondly is to refine and invest in efforts to accelerate economic development, to grow businesses, attract more visits, and expand the tax base. And thirdly, to pursue proactive planning approaches that reflect local concerns and priorities within strategic regional planning policy, so as to enhance service levels, manage rising demand for new housing, and deal with new types of development. The county's second strategic priority is to explore new funding sources and invest wisely in critical long-term infrastructure. To do so, the county is looking to meet the needs of future capital projects, explore new sources of funding support, both current and future, cost-sharing options, and other potential economies. Secondly is to design a framework, explore options, and initiate plans for development of a long-term care facility that meets Fairmont Homes' mandate. Thirdly is to develop plans within a changing legislative and service delivery landscape to provide additional facilities for Frontenac paramedics that will effectively meet steadily growing demand for services and accommodate more paramedic training. Next is to finalize plans and financing to replace, construct, renovate aging county buildings now used for administration services through a shared admin facility if possible. And lastly, to explore a collaborative upper tier role for the county in securing potential funding and support for township maintenance of roads and bridges in a regional road system. And lastly, the third strategic priority is to champion and coordinate collaborative efforts with partners to resolve complex problems otherwise beyond the reach of individual mandates and jurisdictions. With its county's focus to work on the townships, other municipalities, and levels of government on broad infrastructure issues, ranging from environmental concerns to regional transportation strategies for residential, social, and economic purposes and access to funding. Secondly, to play a leadership role on communications to promote shared messaging for all regional initiatives such as economic development, tourism, and lifestyle opportunities, and again, broadband and cell services. And lastly, to continue to pursue collaborative opportunities to achieve service and cost efficiencies and other economies through cost sharing and shared services. So I recognize that was a lot of information to digest in the last few minutes. Again, a lot of this is a reminder for many of you in council, and for those that are new, I hope some of these resonated with you or helped the discussion process that we're going to move forward. We have 7 questions that we want to discuss this evening with you. Again, think of this as somewhat of a brainstorm and a workshop type of session. We are looking to take the county and all of the townships with it from good to great over the next 4 years. In order to do so, we need feedback from councils. We need feedback from the community as well too. So on the next screen here, you'll see the 7 questions that we're looking to discuss this evening here. And the first question I want to focus on is around understanding from your position, what should Frontenac County's areas of strategic focus be? And think of this as the foundation. We're laying the foundation for the county. And as we go into the subsequent questions, we're going to go a little bit deeper into the details of how that's going to get done. So from Central Frontenac's perspective, and I know that you have a good understanding and a good pulse of what's happening throughout many aspects of the county. So as you answer this question, please consider certainly your role as council or otherwise administration, as well as those that you've been in touch with or you know throughout the community. So I'll kind of open it up here. Again, just sharing some thoughts from you in terms of what you feel going forward. We're not looking to evaluate how successful the county was on having delivered or achieved its strategic priorities from 2019 and 22. We know the world has been turned on its head over the last few years, so we're looking forward in that post-pandemic era now in terms of what should the county's areas of strategic focus center around.
Maybe I could start since I've been around that table longer than most people should be around that table. First of all, I think a lot of the things that the county had in their last plan, they've either achieved or they're working towards achieving. The one thing I think they need to put back on their strategic plan as very important at the top is broadband. We're still in the same situation we were back 4 or 5, 10 years ago, in that we're still struggling to get our internet and our broadband, cell phones, all of that coverage working. It is happening, but it's been very slow. So that's an important one.
Thank you, Mayor.
Lynn?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would agree 100%. That was the first thing I had written down was what are they doing to improve the broadband and cell service? Because I mean, if things are underway, I don't see them.
They're working with EORN and supporting EORN, which is actually doing some stuff, but not big enough to impact us. Nikki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd put down self-service and broadband as well. I'd also put down affordable housing for all ages, not just seniors or low income. We need to have affordability for middle class as well. And I'd also put down looking better at rural transportation for all residents, not just in the south, but across the whole county.
Good. Philip?
The one area I'd be interested in seeing the county work on is the ambulance service and not relying so heavily on first responders dealing with paramedicals.
Okay. Susan?
One area that was mentioned a lot at the Roma conference was short-term rentals. And sorry, I do this all the time, don't I? Sorry. So short-term rentals. And I think this is an area where I'd like to see the county take a strong initiative. I go back to ATVs when that was downloaded by the province, and municipalities could say whether ATVs could be on the road or not, and it caused a great deal of confusion. If across Frontenac County, we could have a standard set of rules, so it doesn't vary from township to township, licensing fees, and maybe some coordination on enforcement and so forth. That I think would be very helpful. I also support broadband. What was the other thing you mentioned, Nikki? Oh, transportation. Transportation is huge. And the cost of Road 38, has the county thought about taking back Road 38?
Lynn?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That was going to be my next point, was in the priority number 2, point E in the last time said, explore a collaborative upper tier role for the county in securing potential funding and support for township maintenance of roads, bridges, and a regional road system. I think should be higher up on the priorities. If that could be done, we would have money to do other things here. If that could be done as a whole.
I'll just speak to that for a moment. We did go through the whole assessment. It went to a number of joint meetings, and it died a very painful death on the table. But there's nothing saying it can't be resurrected again. because Frontenac County is one of the few counties in the province of Ontario that gets no money for a road system because we don't have one. But there's a great paper that was written that we really need to have them put back on the table. Susan.
One more thing, and this, Nikki, I fully support affordable housing for everyone, but currently the county is working on looking at communal services. We're looking at a seniors housing development. When I was at Roma, there was a presentation by a planner from Tay Valley, and we don't have a planner, but they were looking at the type of seniors housing, the number of units and that sort of thing. That's a very difficult thing for us as a small township to do. So collaboration with the county, planning support for that initiative would really be appreciated.
Nikki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't know how to say this.
Oh,
So-
just say it.
The setup of the county is kind of stacked against some of the like against us and against the North and the islands, whereas South Frontenac has 3 votes compared to the other townships only having 2. So it's hard in some of the collaborative work that has been done. If South Frontenac doesn't feel that there's enough buy-in or support or that they're going to get something better out of it, that if they say no to the rest, but the rest of us all feel strongly about it, it gets stopped at the table with South Frontenac. So like the roads collaboration for the road system, it got stopped because Central or South didn't feel that there was enough goodness for them out of it. The the collaboration of the fire service, we went through looking at collaboration there, and it got stopped because we were going to be more fruitful in the amounts of fire service we were going to get compared, or not in the amounts, but in the savings that we are going to get. So maybe what I'm trying to say is evening the playing field and making it so everybody's vote counts, and not having a stacked vote with South Frontenac might help more collaborations go forward. I hope I said that nice.
It's called the weighted assessment, and that South Frontenac has 2 votes compared to our 1. So they actually have 3 votes. The mayor has 2, and the other person from that municipality has a vote. But I guess it just means we have to all gang up, because if the rest did, they could carry the vote. But once it's split, it's, the weighted part takes it away. Good comments. No.
Wonderful. Thank you for that discussion there. Next question is to inquire about what are some of the areas of programming and services that should be considered by Frontenac County?
Programming and well, transportation was mentioned. Help with housing.
It's losing.
What was that, Craig?
I think we just kind of answered all the questions by throwing you questions. I don't think we stuck right to number 1.
I think that's a good point. We just opened it up and gave it all that we have. I do have to say that the county has worked in partnership with the municipalities much more in the past, I'd say 8 years, than they certainly did previously. That's a big plus. Yeah, the county clerks, the CAOs get together, and there's lots of collaboration there.
Okay, excellent. And I was wondering, oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Irwin.
I'm just looking at what new areas of programming and services, and I'm just thinking in my role on the Charlotte Lake Family Health Team, certainly the marketing services that were available from the county and looking at developing a video and so forth were very helpful, and hopefully those could be extrapolated to other areas of township business.
Okay. Craig.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. It's my understanding that through the paramedic service, that paramedics don't if they transfer here from another municipality, they don't bring their seniority with them.
Okay. I'm not in a position to, I'm not knowledgeable enough to answer that
It
question.
might be something you might want to look into because, and if you next time you do round of bargaining, try and get that, because I think you'd have paramedics from other municipalities that would come here. Just the reason why they don't is because if they have 20 years seniority where they are, and if they,
Mhm.
it's nothing to do with your.
And sometimes it's. with
Chris, it's working now.
and the different,
Just mine.
Mine? I'm on.
So
Okay.
I mean, I think. Because we do have a lot of, we do a lot of development, lots of discussions and move things forward as we go. So I'd like to see those definitely continue. And I think the rest of, I'm sure the rest of the Frontenacs would feel exactly the same because we have worked very well together. And I know a lot of the projects about the regional road network, spending a lot of time. We have, we've been there and did all that. It's not saying that it can't be revisited, but we do work well together. So, and the clerks of all the, the county plus that. So I'd like them to send with those partnerships. Certainly will continue and work on those.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay. so-
Another
yeah.
example, sorry, is the Economic Development Committee, and I know that township staff go and meet with the county on a, I believe, a quarterly basis. It might be worthwhile having a representative from the various economic development committees so that we're on the same page and not reinventing the wheel.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, just going back and I like the enthusiasm from the group here today because you're thinking ahead. You see the questions a little bit and some of your comments, as you've alluded to, are moving down the chain here. Just want to touch upon to see if there's anything else tied to question number 3 around how can or should the county's new strategic plan be designed to help each of the townships deliver upon their goals. And I know like communication, as you mentioned, Kathy, is a big piece of that puzzle there. Yep, absolutely.
And I think a lot of that is already in place.
Okay. Okay, how can Frontenac County services be delivered more efficiently, effectively, and economically?
Nikki.
I had put down like sharing of resources for better fiscal accountability. So we all, I'm just as an example, using Susan's example about economic development. We all have our individual economic development committees and maybe working together with and creating one economic development committee with representation from each area. And sharing those services would be a way to go.
I do believe they are shared now in that Richard comes to the Economic Development Committee or Deb when there are certain things happening. Again, the old Economic Development Committee, I think they were quite involved. So, and I think they're willing to be involved. They just need to be invited or given notice of what we would want them to do.
Madam Mayor, is there any software, data sets, databases where each of the townships in the county subscribe to on their own or have to replicate or update multiple times throughout the county, or is it pretty streamlined?
To the county.
Yeah, the
Okay, great.
county actually supplies us with the technology folks to keep our systems running.
Okay, great.
And the hardware we buy through the county or no, for staff. Yeah.
Okay.
So there is that part.
Any process improvements to support kind of the notion of efficiency improvements?
Staff might know that better than us.
Just trying to think, I know that, and it's dealing with the FMS, which is the, their technology.
Mhm.
It's true, getting the service, we have to put in service requests and service orders to do that. And I know they're stretched as well. So at sometimes maybe being a little quicker on answering some of those things, because sometimes, we have an issue that's going on that they can't get to or right away. So I think that needs to be just sort of, look at that a little better to try to see efficient. And I know because they lost Mel, he sort of retired from them. So they're trying to get somebody, and I think they're having difficulty getting that resource because we share it with North. The two share the IT, and then so they have to come out. But I think sometimes it needs to be a little bit, I'm not giving fault to them. It's just the fact that maybe a little quicker to address some of those issues that we have.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Okay, next question is how can Frontenac County advance community engagement in order to improve service to its citizens?
Community engagement is a tough one. Nikki.
We've never had a town hall meeting for the whole county. So maybe a suggestion would be a couple of town hall meetings across the area occasionally.
Mhm.
It's very disconnected in that if you stop somebody on the street and ask them what the county does for them, they probably can't tell you. And it's because it's one step further away from the local municipality. A lot of people don't even understand how it's all connected and who goes from here to county. So it's I think getting better known, but that's only because I'm in it. I think that I don't know if the average Joe could tell you what the county does or how we're connected to the county of Frontenac. Because their seat is in the south, it's not like they're in our local municipalities to be seen as a storefront. I think that's probably part of it. Philip.
Thank you. They do have a good social media presence. Like, I mean, they post lots of things. I wouldn't say the things they're posting are telling me what they're really doing. They're posting when they're hiring and they're doing stuff like that. The Engage Frontenac is interesting. I'll be honest, I went to answer a couple of things, and the rigmarole you have to go to sign up to actually provide comments is a bit cumbersome. So I think if the process was easier, they might find that they actually get some more engagement using that platform.
Good feedback.
Do you feel that the county is providing the right channels for which feedback and information can be provided back to the county, whether it's various types of new social media platforms, the Engage Frontenac website, through other channels or means? those that maybe have limited access to technology? Is there another way in order to collect that feedback, in your opinion?
I will say that our local reporter does go to county council sessions and reports on county council meetings by Zoom, pretty much now, but that does help, I think, because there's often media stories about what's going on at the county. Nikki?
I think what you just said, it's true. We do drop, the county has dropped the ball in reaching people that aren't tech savvy. So maybe that's something we need to focus a little bit more on. Yes, the world is going very tech and all of us have iPads and cell phones and everything. But some of the seniors and some people that live off the grid, they're not tech savvy. So maybe that's a point that we could look further into. How do we reach these people? And the newspaper is a good option, but it's not perfect either.
No.
Do citizens I'm deviating a bit because of the great conversation that we're having right now. Do you feel that citizens of Central Frontenac or that of the county feel that their voice is genuinely heard by their local municipality or county? Okay.
That's from a new counselor that just ran an election.
But that was the feedback
Mhm,
that I was getting,
mhm,
that people didn't know how things were being done. They
Mhm.
didn't understand how decisions were made, and they didn't think their voices were heard.
And this can be extended to not just citizens, but businesses as well? Or is that perceived a little bit differently?
I would, there is a business group, so I think they feel a bit more connected, but still
Okay,
not as connected as perhaps we would like them to
sure,
be.
thank you.
Nikki?
I feel that Richard Allen does do a good job and the Frontenac's Futures and Harrowsmith do a good job of getting the word out to businesses. People, I agree with Susan that a lot of people in the feedback we all heard in the fall was that the voices aren't being heard or we're not being listened to. They're not being listened to. But I think business wise, I think that the county actually does a really good job getting out to businesses and trying to promote them. And anybody that does reach out, they do really well on. Like they've now developed that Frontenac app. So it's not just about the trail, but it's about businesses and how to access those businesses. And I think that's really working with people.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, moving into the second last question here is to understand what partnerships and or collaborative opportunities can or should Frontenac County either develop or look to strengthen over the next 4 years.
Nikki?
I'm gonna follow up on one of your comments. The regional road group, as you said, Lennox and Addington and Lanark County, and that do very well because they do have that group and Frontenac County has struggled there. So maybe more reaching out to them and learning how they are promoting it and getting the funding for their roads and transportation could be a collaboration we could look at.
Yes. We could actually just, yeah. Bring back the report that was done.
Yeah.
And maybe even look at putting that forward again to be a county agenda item that we take another look at. There's different people around the table. Who knows what the outcome might be? And we're all struggling more and more to pay for roads that we can't afford to pay for. Anything else?
Maybe I'll throw a couple of other suggestions to kind of stimulate some ideas, thinking about provincial and federal levels of government, other funding agencies, CFDCs, Frontenac Business Services, industry associations or organizations, wanting to take the blinders off. And I don't think it ever hurts to have too many friends in your back pocket. And certainly there's always opportunity to move relationships from good to great, or not, maybe not so good to good. And again, just there's a world of opportunity within Frontenac County, and you're surrounded by great communities as well too. And just thinking, even some of your neighbors or communities that separate part of Frontenac County, what are some of those strategic partnerships that can help benefit all of the county, or certainly certain aspects of it? Anything else does it resonate with you in terms of that perspective?
We don't have a big farming community. They do in the south. And the county has developed things for the farmers. Nikki?
What about working with the Ontario Health teams? More like they're in a world of flux right now, and maybe if we have partnerships with them, it would help strengthen bringing doctors to the area and recruitment and helping all the citizens.
I sit on the Ontario Health Team FLA from the county as a county rep, but it's very medically discussions constantly. But I'm there more for the fact that we have Fairmont Home and we have paramedics, and we fund those from the taxpayer. And we're not sure how Ontario Health Teams are going to actually, we're going to have to go to them for funding down the road. So there's governance issues that are happening that we're kind of involved with, but it's a big piece to try and figure out who's going to do what and how it's going to be done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, last question is just kind of to open it back up for any additional thoughts, comments, or suggestions that can help within the development of the county strategic plan.
Nikki?
My only two things I wrote down were better collaboration or buy-in from all areas, and don't put all of our emphasis on just seniors.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
good point. And I think
Just because I'm a senior, right?
I think continuing the collaboration that's developed between staff and the county staff is very important, and it can be strengthened and certainly needs to continue, because I think it's saved a lot of the CAOs a lot of time in trying to move things forward. If somebody already has it done, they share it with each other, and it just makes so much sense.
Or we work together
Yeah,
Mhm.
to develop it.
to develop.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, moving forward, next steps. So our plan is to complete the engagement activities with council this week. We also are going live with the general public online survey, youth consultation survey as well this week. We're looking at finalizing the dates for perhaps at the end of this month for two planned open houses. We will use this information to build a draft strategic plan for which we'll present for comment, for feedback. We'll take that comment and feedback, and we will complete the final strategic plan for which we will present to county council. I believe it's in July. We're looking to have the draft version kind of end of May, early June timeframe as well right now. So this piece is this is a foundational component, a key component of the overall data gathering exercise. So I want to thank all of you for your time today and the opportunity to sit amongst all of you and hear your thoughts and ideas. Our contact information is available on screen. It's on the last page of your presentation deck as well too. I know that you're always thinking as you leave council, if there are other ideas, and Madam Mayor, as you suggested, please feel free to send an email to myself or my colleague for additional things to think about. And I believe I'll see a couple of you at county council meeting tomorrow.
Yes. Great. Okay.
Thank you kindly.
I have a motion, and then we're going to have a little break. Moved by Lynn and seconded by Susan that council participate in the focus group discussions relating to the County of Frontenac strategic plan facilitated by Explorer Solutions. All those in favor? Carried. It's kind of the horse before the cart situation. Anyway, all right, let's take 10 minutes. Oh, okay, that's right, because we are really down to. Sure. Okay, let's go ahead. We've got just a couple more motions. Moved by Cindy Kelsey and seconded by Lynn Clickus that council receive the following correspondence for information, and it's 1 to 15. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. So there's no public meeting. No bylaw agreements, any notices of motion?
No, I have a giving notice of motion, but I wonder if we do that for the
That's
next
next.
meeting, because it wasn't agenda. That's right. Okay.
Okay, so there's no
None.
giving of notice of motion. Nor other business? Oh, Nikki?
Is this where you do, is it according to procedural bylaw, I couldn't figure out where you give a reconsider of motion. Is it under giving of motion or under new or other business? If so, I'd like to have a reconsider of motion.
I think it's under the no, I'll double check that because I think it's either under the giving or the notice. Okay.
Bill?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Reconsidering.
It's for a resolution that's already been done.
Yes.
Then it's a motion of reconsideration.
And you need 2/3 of a majority in order to bring something back that's already been decided.
I think it's under the new, I don't think it's under new and other business thing, because either giving of notice, I'll check for. I'll have to look at that.
Do you want to do this tonight? Okay, Bill?
Let's see, my motion, let me look.
It's, I highlighted it if you still got my notice of motion there. Then it's 1, 2, it's that section 1, 2, B, I think.
These ones?
No, the notice of motion itself, I highlighted.
That he just gave you?
Yeah, section 12.2 of the procedural bylaw, 2023-42. So have to look at the bylaw.
So Cindy, what does that say? You've got,
Got it, okay. Yes, 2023 dash.
okay, can I suggest that we break before we discuss this?
So we're just trying to figure out.
Because
Cindy,
it
if it's
sounds
something-
like it's going to take a while. Okay. I don't know about everyone else's bladder, but I know what mine is saying. Let's take 10 minutes and then we'll come back to this. Okay, we're live again? Nope, we're about to be. All right, we're going back just to finish off a conversation that we had. A notice of reconsideration has to be given to the clerk ahead of time. So whatever is coming will be coming forward at the next meeting. So we don't need to discuss it tonight. It will be coming next meeting. So we are now at closed session. And I have a motion moved by Lind and seconded by Cindy, that council move into closed session pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act to discuss the following: personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, section 239(2)(b). All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay.